everyone. I'm trying to see if we are actually live on the air. Doug, I don't know. Do you know if we are live on the air? Because I'm not getting good juju here. The deck is stacked against us tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I am. I don't know what's going on, but I am not.
Are we getting jammed?
Okay. It looks like we are live.
We are live now. Let me see.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. The satellites are spinning. There's some crazy shit going on. It appears.
Yeah, we're on Facebook.
Yeah, it appears the first start did not take for some reason. It's just been a bad night, dude. It's just that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you just got to drive on, man.
I apologize to those watching and listening. One, we're starting 38 minutes late, and two, I gotta get some other stuff lined up here. Everything could have happened with it. Murphy's in the house, right, Doug? We know. Murphy is always right. The enemy has a vote.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you just got to drive on, man.
Yep, the enemy has a vote, and Murphy's in the house. Murphy's Law is always, and it's just tonight. And I think I was telling you before we started, I went to go start up, get everything ready. The enemy has a vote.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you just got to drive.
I'm hearing myself in my ear. I hate that. Okay.
I am too.
That's
weird.
Yeah, I know it was me. I'm trying to get everything set up. So I went to go start up, and my all our graphics, everything you guys see here on the screen is all why am I frozen? Okay. Is all on Dropbox, so Toby and I can share it and all that kind of stuff. Well, Dropbox updated this week, and apparently they decided that they're going to put it in a whole new place on my hard drive. So I go to start up, and all that stuff that you see, the brick and everything in the video, was all gone. It just, it just said the words at the top, like Stu and the Nunn. It had like Gear for Grunts, Boo Hammer, that kind of thing. It was all gone.
Right.
And that was minutes before the show started. I'm like, brah. And so I was doing that. And right when we started the show, you don't even know this, Doug, started the show, the service that we use that broadcasts, it pushes us to YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everywhere, said, oh, connection problem. You need to refix this. That was while the music was playing. I saw that. And I'm just like,
oh, man.
Wow.
All right. We'll do a Miji report when we're done.
Yeah. I mean, it's I need to find that my Camo guy, my wire dog that just showed up from basic training, who apparently was reconfiguring my stuff here.
Yeah, he just tripped over some wires in the server room.
Exactly.
That's the signal core I want to be in, right?
That's it. Hey Pat, how you doing? I'm glad you're here with us. So at least we got somebody here and a few others.
The source of all the problem, Troy, was you didn't play Crazy Town.
See, I didn't even do that, which I always do when you host with me,
so you were cursed now. We're cursed now, so we got to just deal with it.
The ghost of Nick Gilder came back.
Nick Gilder
came back and haunted me and said, "No,
where's Bedriki? Where's Lee Bedriki when you need him?
You need to hit him on Facebook."
Yeah, I'm on Facebook with him. He's like in North Carolina or something.
Yeah, you need to hit him right now and say, Lee, we're looking for you.
He couldn't get Nick Gilder right back in '92, which, interesting enough, I was thinking like 30 years ago right now, we may have been in the woods at Fort Rich for Raider Fury 5 and one of those train ups for JRTC.
You think that would have been...
thinking about that.
Let me think about this. Hold on. We're in October? I don't know.
Because you missed, there was a couple of them. You missed one of them because you were at Northern Warfare School. There was several. So there was like one in October. There's like one in, I don't know, sometime in November. And then we went in December. So you missed one of them. The one you missed, we were a hot mess as a platoon. We were just a hot mess.
I'm not going to say it correlated because I wasn't there. I'm not going to say that was a reason.
I'll say it. So you didn't. It's just like my example. You didn't play Crazy Town. Bad stuff happens. Troy's at Northern Warfare School. The mortar platoon goes to the field. It's just.
But here's what I do have. What I do have is a Gear for Grunts logo here on this page. I got a Gear for Grunts Spotlight Ranger shirt on. You got a Gear for Grunts. I was wearing that one at the gym today. The same exact shirt this morning at the gym.
It's freaking awesome, isn't it? I can't decide. Do you think it's too big? These are the questions I plague myself. Maybe next time I'll go a little bit smaller. I don't know. Let me know.
If you lift more weights, you'll fill it out. Trust me. That's how it works.
Oh.
Right? I'm just saying. I'm not posing or nothing. I'm just saying if you live more.
Oh yeah.
Away.
Oh, are we posing now? There we go. That's for the what we got. Like what? Maybe 2 gay dudes and 3 chicks who watch the show. We're listening. There you go.
We got more than that, and 2 transgenders. But there's a couple other alphabet letters in there. But anyways, no, we have a lot of good fans and friends. Hey, besides Gear for Grunts, Commodity Outdoor Development Group, Red Rum Sport Fishing, BooHammer.com, all great sponsors of this. I'm getting weird. God, this is just not my night, dude. Weird noise in my earphones. I don't know if you hear any static or anything, Doug, but I hear it. And
no, not right now. I'm Lima Charlie, man.
Pat I'm seeing you in there. Is our audio good? Rob, the unpaid producer, I think is tied up with something tonight. I don't think he's here.
Well, that's another problem. See, that's another. Our IT support's out. We're running on empty. Our man,
producer,
like Jackson Brown would have sung about.
Our producer, he's our fact finder. We got audio going on. Dropbox is happening. Mark Wahlberg's trying. Wahlberg. What's his name? Zuckerberg. Mark Wahlberg and Zuckerberg are trying to shut us down. I don't know.
You guys are big time. I didn't know you had Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch on this show.
He's usually here too, and all that stuff. Hey, Pat, thank you very much. Pat says it's coming in. Pat. He said it's coming in a little homo. So that must have been when you were posing. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask him. Okay, that answers my question. What demographic he's in? He's not the one we were appealing to with that. So thank you, Pat. That's good.
There we go. I see
good for you, Pat.
The room is looking good. You got the snowshoe back there. Got a couple Alaskan plaques, which I think I gave you one.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
I think that black
one. That's what you get.
Yeah.
When you're the brigade CISO and you don't get fired at 6th ID, 1st Brigade, you get a big snowshoe. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So
we got Mandy Spanton, retired CW4 in the house. So yeah, she'll tell me if we're wrong or make a mistake. Even if we're not, she'll think we are, but she doesn't know what she's talking about. So
she's our fact checker.
Oh, she'll be our fact checker. Yes, Mandy, you get to fill the gap of fact checker and filling in for Rob. There you go.
And look up stuff. And Google stuff for us.
Well, you were asking a warrant officer to work. I don't think that's going to work either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I got. I'm 20. It's right. It's
I know you've been out
years out of style.
I know you've been out a minute.
Hopeful.
Yeah, you've been out a minute. What are you drinking tonight, Doug?
I am drinking. I'm glad you asked, Troy. Why? I am drinking some of that TX whiskey that you and I have enjoyed several times. I guess I need to buy some more because it's kind of.
I guess I need to come.
The Class 6 is getting kind of low.
I guess I need to come back to Texas. I think I bought that one for you, didn't I? I think I bought that one.
Can you replenish? No, I don't know. This was 2 or 3 after that. I'm not really sure. Well, by the way, Stacy and I were talking. Isn't Troy coming down here soon? Sometime soon?
I will be down there. Before the end of the year. I will be down there before the end of the year. That is the plan. So. Yes.
Good. We're not crazy.
Nope.
Okay.
It keeps us having to mail our Christmas gifts to each other. We just do the suitcase swap there. That's right.
That's right.
So yes,
do we have your gift already?
I will be down there. I can give you a list. Anyways, Anyways, thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. Rob here from Doug. I'm looking at a text. Doug here from Gear
you
for
call
Grunts.
Me Rob. I don't care.
Yeah, Rob, the unpaid producer, is not here. Doug here from Gear for Grunts. Tactical Innovations. Is
I'm unpaid as well. Except
aren't we all?
Maybe some of this.
Yes, aren't we all? Yeah. So you're here. I'm here. Our
okay.
Viewers
I can't hear you now. I got nothing.
You can't hear me? You can't hear me?
No audio.
Warren?
You're talking.
Really?
But nothing.
Okay. Someone.
There you go. Now you're back.
I think you're. I think you need to reestablish your communications, your antenna, your unit. You still can't hear me.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
But you went out for a while.
Okay.
I put a new battery in my hearing aid yesterday, so I'm good for 4 more days.
Oh,
so I'm good.
Was it made in China? Because it may be dead already if it's made in China. I'm just saying. All right.
Man, all I know is don't let your dog eat them. Yeah, that's all I know.
That's
your
probably
batteries.
That's
don't
probably
let your dog eat them.
That's probably a good thing. Hey, anyways,
here to help.
So let's talk about. We got some issues we want to talk about. Thank you, Andy. You can hear us.
Sure.
So what do you got? We got some things going on. There's always stuff going on, right? No shortage. But what do you have? I know there's a couple things that you want to hit on.
You know
what I'd like to do tonight, Doug? I thought about this earlier. I didn't get.
What would you like to do, Troy?
We're going to call this. We're going to call this the AAR show, right? After Action Review.
The AAR. Okay.
So here's what I want us to do. 3 up, 3 down. 3 positive stories that people probably don't know about, or maybe they do. Maybe it's popular. That are
I've got one positive.
Okay, hold on. 3 positives that were like that. This is a good news story. This is like, so did you know about this or whatever, right? Or something that just appeals to you. And 3 stories that are out there. 3 things that are happening in the news. Maybe not a story, but just are happening that you think are really bad that we need to fix, that need to be addressed. You want to go? How's that sound? We'll do an AR show. 3 up, 3 down.
That sounds pretty good.
It's kind of cool.
Okay.
Something different.
All right.
Okay, so you're up first. So.
Well, I got one positive story.
Okay.
I was kind of sort of prepared. So the one positive story was by some guy named Greg Kimball, and I think I found it on. Oh, where did I find it? It went to some I think I found it on one of the right-wing conservative nut job, whatever you want to call it, blogs, and it redirected me to some German website. But it was about the United States of America being the indispensable country. I don't know if you know who Conrad Black is. He's some Canadian conservative guy. He writes a lot. He says a lot of interesting things. But anyway, this guy was referencing Conrad Black. I guess he wrote an article called "The United States is Still the Indispensable Country." So this great guy took that and kind of updated it, a little bit, and just basically said, hey, he kind of did a whole rundown of all the bad things, that are happening or have happened in the last, 2 years, inflation, our standing in the world, military, blah, but whatever you want, he just ran down the line. But he said, the good news is under proper leadership, we can turn it around quickly. So, the previous president, he turned it, they turned out, there was a lot of negative stuff when he took over too. So his whole thing was, hey man, don't give up the ship. There's still time. He goes, I get it. The hour is late. There isn't much time, but there's still time, and there's still, a chance, a fighting chance. And I think the last actual quote said something like, Americans are at best when there's not much time left. So, boom, there's your positive story. So hopefully we can start that upswing here in a couple of weeks, starting next month.
Americans are at
whenever after the elections.
Can you explain?
So there you go. That's all I got. That's my positive for you.
So you're saying they're saying Americans are best when there's not much time left? When
you don't have, when you think things are all, when you think all is lost, that's when Americans are at their best.
Well, so I mean, we look at 9/11, right? We saw what happened on 9/11, and for a while after, right? America came together. Mm-hmm. Everyone forgot what color people were, no one thought about who they voted, no one that stuff, right? Everyone came together. People would see each other. People put flags and everything. They walked up to cops and thanked them. I mean, I would say, at the times like that, in times of duress, I mean, Americans absolutely have come. That's why people have talked about, can we take our country back to the days of 9/12, right? Of when this country came together and just cared about being Americans, not about what type of gay you identified on, because there's only 2 genders. Yeah. There's only 2 genders. There's 38 types of gay, but it wasn't about who you voted for, what color hat you wore, pink or red or whatever. It was just, we're all Americans. I would say that's a very fair statement.
Here's the exact. I just found it. So it's an adaptation of some cat named Lord de Avernon, who said something similar about Englishmen, but this Roger Kimball author changed it to, an American's mind works best when it is almost too late. Boom. So it's almost too late, so our minds should be hyper sharp right now.
Yep. Yeah.
So there you go. There's your positive thought for the day.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna start with a negative.
Okay.
Because that's just the way I go.
There's plenty.
There's
plenty, Troy.
I'm just sitting there feverishly writing.
There's no
notes.
shortage.
So I don't know if you saw President Biden today. He went up to Pennsylvania to campaign to stump for John the Carhartt wearing Fetterman, who's up there running for governor. Right. And it's the first campaign stumping. I could say, I don't know if this is 100% factual. If Rob was here, he would tell me. I think it's one of the first things he's done campaigning wise since the campaign season been going on outside of the state of Delaware. I don't think he's went anywhere else, right? He hasn't went and stumped for anybody or anything like that. So he went up and saw Fetterman today. Before he left, you know, he was asked about, who else he's going to go. What's up, David? Who else he was going to go stump for, and how come no one's inviting him on the trail, and and the helicopter blades are turning, and he's like, I've got like 15 people, right? And they're like, really, who? And he's like, I gotta go. So then he gets up to some place in Pennsylvania, some little cafe. He might have been going for ice cream again. That really seems to be his thing. I mean, it looks better than eating pudding, which is probably what he does by 3:00 every day. But so he's up there, and again, a reporter asked him the same thing, because guess what? It's a topic, he goes, he kind of snaps, right? He kind of grabs he kind of snaps, and then he's up to like 20. Like he had 5 more in the helicopter ride. But it's a negative for a couple things, or sad too. Go back and watch the video. When I first saw it, my sound was off, like a lot of time it is in my office. I'm working. I just see the news is on, there's TV's on, and I'm just working. And I saw him talk. I didn't know when it was from, Doug. I didn't realize it was today till I go back and rewatched it and turned.
Yeah, it was today. Apparently, it was today. Right.
The look on his face as he is talking, I don't know. I don't read body language. I don't understand. I read body language, but I don't know if it has a meaning or not, and I haven't studied him enough. But the look he had is what I've seen for a lot of people that are in stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. The look on his face, or the eyebrows raised really high, and I don't mean like Pelosi or Pelosi drawn eyebrows. Those are really high, but she draws them, and so does Hochul in New York. But he's like he was surprised. His eyes and he's like, I have 20 people, and I was like, it was like someone just woke him up. That caught my attention. But so besides him snapping, it was the fact that he had a look. He's kind of half smiling, and had his eyebrows up. Like, if I talk to you like this, you're not going to think I'm normal. And watch that clip when they bring it up. Turn off the sound and just look at his facial expressions. The dude, it's missing. It's gone, right? He doesn't get it. And between that and the snapping and stuff, I mean,
and he apparently put his hand on the reporter's shoulder or something too.
Probably wanted to smell her.
All handsy.
Probably wanted to smell her. But I mean, I just. We got how many? I don't know how many days are. We don't have Rob. God, it kills me. How many days to November 8th?
When is Election Day?
But November 8th, right?
So 8 plus 10, 11. So that's 19 days.
Yeah.
No, 19.
So in 20 days, I'm counting 20 to 21 days. I mean, this election, the people are going to come out, right? These houses are going to flip. And there's going to be the voters going to tell how they really feel about stuff. I think it's going to be so much worse. I've been saying that here on the show for a while. I think it's going to be a lot worse than the polls are saying for Democrats. And it's going to be days 20 or 21. I think they're going to have some serious conversations about, because he's done, right? If it's as soon as those both houses flip, especially, my God, you only hope and pray it's veto proof level.
The Senate.
But if both houses flip, he's crawling back to the basement. Like, who's that little dude, Lord of the Rings, my precious, that little guy crawls around.
Gollum.
He's going to be like crawling back to his basement like Gollum. And because there's nothing he can do, he's done after that, right? And there's going to be no talks at 24. There's going to be none of that stuff. They are practically, in my opinion, propping him up like Weekend at Bernie's right now to get to the midterms. And I can't believe they're letting him out. But he went up there. Oh, he did say that Fetterman's wife's going to be a great senator. Funny, she's not running. She's not running.
No, but I think, but on that point though, like Biden usually does, he lets the cat out of the bag, because Fetterman's got his own like post-stroke issues, right? So he's already.
I don't know the rules in Pennsylvania. Does she get
impaired?
Does the governor just get?
I think she'll be the woman behind the curtain, right? She'll be like Woodrow Wilson's wife.
Oh,
right?
maybe like
so that's
Dr.
what Biden. I think that
Dr. Jill.
Yeah, I
like
think that's
Dr. Jill.
What
right?
Biden exactly.
The woman behind the curtain.
That's exactly right. So they just need you to vote the right way. They don't care. Just a warm body in that Senate seat. Just vote how I tell you. That's all you got to do. So I think he did reveal that. like he's done before.
Well,
he just reveals things that
it's what's happening in the White House.
You can't.
Right? It's what's happening in the White House. So, yeah, that's a good point. I thought maybe that he would just that if Fetterman could not that I don't think he's going to win, but if he would bow out, then they get to she gets to step in or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's just so disconnected.
It could be.
Anyway,
could be. It could be that. It could be directly, or she's running things indirectly. Either way, it's the same result.
So that's my first negative. My 3 up, 3 down. That's my first one. Is him snapping and just having a look of absolute surprise and bewilderment when asked a question up there.
Exactly.
If I can add one more since I'm on Biden. The other day when he was eating ice cream, the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, the most powerful man in this world, and that mofo can't freaking not talk with his mouth full. I lost my shit. He's eating ice cream. Huh? No, our economy's strong as hell. I'm like, dude, like, you're the president of the United States. I think they send you to finishing school or something. Oh, and you've been in the Congress. You've been in a representative of government for 50 freaking years. No one talked to you.
Yeah.
No one told you not to eat with your mouth full when you got 55 million cameras in your face and you're smacking around like you're a cow chewing on cud. Man, I'm sorry, I just had to talk. That was the other day, but it just
no. You're right. You're right. He was elected to the Senate 50 years ago this year, my friend. 1972. Nixon was your president.
Yes.
I was 4.
I was 3. Yeah.
I was 4.
Yeah.
And like Scooby-Doo episodes were like brand new back then. That's just how far back that goes. So just keep that in mind. And then remember, he was doing that speech. What did he say? They were asking him about releasing the whatever million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and is this related to the election? Trying to get the price of gas down right before the election. And he's like, no. Of course it's not political. How long have I been doing this? And the answer somebody should have yelled out is far too long.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, that's the answer to a lot of our problems. These people have been up there. I mean, they were wrong on their best day, but then you add 50 years on that, and then, you guys do the math.
So back when you were watching,
that makes you.
Yeah, so when you were 4,
Scooby-Doo and I was watching Scooby-Doo, Fat Albert, Sigmund the Sea Monster.
Hold on a second. Let me back up on Scooby-Doo. Were you worried about what the sexuality was of any of the characters on Scooby-Doo? I'm just wondering.
I know where you're going with this.
I'm just asking.
My wonderful daughter informed me. I was never concerned because I thought Velma with a V. Velma had the hots for Shaggy. I don't care what they're saying today, but back in 1974, I'm like, oh yeah, Velma and Shaggy.
She kind of always did because Shaggy.
Coming together.
Who's the other one? The other redheaded, the tall redheaded, who was the real pretty one. She was outside Shaggy's league, right? She was outside Shaggy.
She's with the blonde dude with the ascot.
Yeah, she's with Ken doll, with the Ken doll guy, right? So now
you got to kick the dog. They got to kick Scooby out of the van. There's a lot of stuff going on in that mystery van.
You don't want
not
Scooby...
so much mystery going on in the van.
Not anymore. So how racist is it? They made Shaggy black and now she's the lesbian. Like, wow, she's not hot for him anymore. That's kind of racist, I think.
Velma's. They said she is now. And I'm like,
didn't worry about that.
I don't know.
I don't know what Foghorn. I don't know what Foghorn Leghorn was. I don't know what Richie Rich was. I don't know what Archie was. I don't know what Tom or Jerry was. I surely don't know what the little Mexican mouse dude was. I don't remember his name. Right?
Pepe Le Pew.
No, that was a skunk. That was a skunk.
I was not concerned about his orientation.
No, it was pretty clear. It was actually pretty clear.
Down the line.
Yeah. Anyway, so
he got the cat mixed up with the skunk, but anyway, that's another issue.
Yeah, that's what it identified as. Anyways, on you, my friend. What's your next one?
I have both a positive and a negative one all at the same time. I'm looking at the Heritage Foundation ranks the Army readiness. Wait for it, as quote very strong.
Wait, what?
That's what I said.
That's not what I heard.
But wait, let me read it. I'm reading it. This is by the way, I'm reading from AUSA site. Tuesday, 10/18. The Heritage Foundation's 2023 Index of U.S. Military Strength ranks the United States Army as a marginal power, which is better than the weak Navy and Space Force and the very weak Air Force. So it's good news and it's bad news. So there you go. The Army is stronger than the Navy and the Space Force, which are both rated very weak. So there you go.
I thought
the
Army
Marine Corps was rated as strong.
Yep.
The Marine Corps is strong. But I'm like, there was something about the Marine readiness rating though, Troy, because they're in the throes of kind of dumbing down the Marine Corps. They're kind of getting rid of their armor assets and all this other stuff, and they're really dumbing it down. So I think based upon that, they're very strong only because they still have a lot of those assets left over that they haven't either gotten rid of or whatever. So that was part of the rating. So they're actually going to be probably weak by next year once they get rid of all their heavy assets. So see, the Army's too small though. The report says with only 62% of the force it should have. But also,
they missed their. I think they missed their recruiting goal by 15,000.
25.
Oh, 25,000.
25 of the 30. Wait, no. 25 of the brigade combat teams of the 31 were ranked very strong. I don't know what the other 6 DCTs are doing. I guess they suck. I guess they need to go back to their METHOL tasks so they can start getting the TPUs up, right? Trained and practice and untrained and all that stuff. Do they even do that anymore, Troy? Is that even a thing in the military anymore? I don't know. Mission Essential Task List? I don't know either.
I have been...
Again, I'm 25 years out of style.
I've been retired for a minute here, so over 10 years. So I don't know. Noella, thank you. Noella, thank you so much for Speedy Gonzalez. Thank you for the name. I had forgot. Yes.
Who is it?
Speedy Gonzalez. That's the cartoon, the little Mexican mouse.
Oh, Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He's like the Roadrunner to the Mexican cat or something that was trying to get him. I don't know who his villain was. But anyway, that's good news and bad news. So the Army and the Marines are, but that's the good news, I guess. They're not worse, but the Navy and Space Force are weak, and the Air Force is very weak.
Yeah. Well,
so there you go. Sleep well, my fellow American citizens.
And that was a positive. So, how? Because the Army, or how was that a positive?
The Army and the Marine Corps was the positive side. Then the Space Force, the Navy, and the Air Force was the negative side.
Right.
So I went both ways right there.
You did. Wow, so you were so 2022. You went both ways. I'm
trying to be hip.
Yeah, and yes, thanks, Pat. Slowpoke Rodriguez. God, that show was Speedy Gonzalez was so good. That would just make people's minds explode. Remember he was always drunk?
Wait, the Super Friends? Remember the Super Friends and Wonder Woman had her invisible F-104 Starfighter?
Yeah.
Man, that was some cool stuff.
No, but I'm talking about just the un-PC, unwoke like cartoons of back in the day of like Speedy Gonzalez and the
Roadrunner,
Pepe Le Pew and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyways, we're not gonna do a cartoon.
Wile E. Coyote.
We're not gonna do a cartoon episode.
Genius.
So all right. So
we're gonna have to do a car. Remember Speed Racer and the cars exploded and stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Trust me, the woke generation today would probably find something wrong with, besides every show we watched in the 70s and 80s, but definitely most of the cartoons. Yes, absolutely. I
loved it. It was awesome.
Go back and watch the earliest Steamboat Willie. That's all I'm going to say. Google Steamboat Willie and watch out on YouTube and show that to your millennial woke friends and watch their heads explode. But let's talk about a positive here. The media, who's in the back pocket of the left and has been and does their best to cover up and say all kind of stuff, they can only go so long. They're finally starting to admit. They're finally starting to the media in general, most of the mainstream outlets are starting to say, "Oh crap!" Even though Peppermint Patty there, Pasaki, is like starting to admit now that she works for MSNBC that. There's going to be a problem here in 19 days, that the people are upset with the administration. The people are upset with the inflation and with the crime, with the crime and the border and this and gas prices and everything else. The media is starting to have to ask hard questions, and it's not just Peter Ducey from Jean Claude Pierre, whatever her name is, right? It's other people asking, and they're not getting answers, and they're complaining. So that's a positive. Sorry it's taken this long. Man, they would have so much more credence. People would really listen to them more if they could be just a touch more objective and maybe just report news and quit trying to spin it. And just try to get opinionated sound bites. But to me, that's a positive. We're seeing this now. It doesn't mean they're gonna all try to come back to the middle and be unbiased reporters, because the second they can slingshot back to the left, they will, right? It's not going to take. The bar is low, right? The bar is. I call it a slingshot, right? They're going to shoot back over there. The bar is low. They just need, someone else that they think is appealing, that looks good, that's cool, that's young, that is some kind of represents some minority demographic that is either real or made up, and they're just going to be all over, right? Whether it's a Newsom or whether it's someone, I would say AOC, but she's kind of fallen out not only with her own constituents.
Yeah, they're throwing. People are yelling at her at her own town halls. She's dancing to it or something. When people are yelling at her, calling her. She's part of the establishment now, so she's part of the problem from her own constituents. Right. Man, that's I guess that's good news right there, right?
Yeah, when they start eating themselves, there you go. But yeah, so the media coming back and starting to be a tad unbiased, starting to present news the way it is, to me is a positive, but it's a light positive because I don't think it's going to last long. So that's right. That's my positive. My positive. So back to you, my friend.
I don't know if this is a negative or is this a positive, because it reveals what their inner voice is. So my understanding is, I wish there was somebody to check me, but Stacey Abrams, who's a candidate for the governorship of the gubernatorial candidate for the great state, the peach state of Georgia, said that a way to fight inflation is to get an abortion.
Yeah, because if you don't have a baby,
So I can almost see Troy. I can almost see like one of those World War II like propaganda posters with that saying in it, instead of loose lips sink ships or something, or buy, victory, buy U.S. war bonds. But now it's like victory over inflation. Just get an abortion. That's cool, man. You're a patriot now if you do that. That's good. So I don't know I think that part's bad, but that's just my opinion. But the good part is, the positive is, on that it reveals their inner voice, what their real priorities are, how they actually do people, and how they do the world. So, hey, and isn't that a manifestation or like a small scale example of basically what socialism, communism is? We're all just tools of the state, right? We're all, we're not individuals, we're not unique, we're not made by God and all. No, we're just tools to be used and then abused and then thrown down by the wayside when we're no longer useful. So that's what it reveals to me. So hopefully more people are picking up on that. To me, that's like old news, but hopefully more people are seeing that through some of this messaging that's coming out, because they're trying to make that an issue to dissuade from all the other bad news that you already kind of went over. So There you go. There's another good news, bad news story.
Well, and her reasoning behind that was, if you don't have a baby, then you don't have to buy diapers and formula.
Right. And then you're helping the carbon footprint of the planet, right? Because you're not introducing another, corporeal life that takes water and food and drives a car and does all these horrible things to planet, Earth Mother Gaia. So it's a win-win for them.
I'm just saying, just an idea.
And it's another thing too, Troy. It's like when you have a kid, at least for me, you're like, wow, it's not all about me. What a concept. Wow. That was like the silver bullet. I'm like, wow, I've got to like get my crap together. I got to refocus, and I'm responsible. So that reorders your life, reprioritize your life, and to that particular political bent. We can't have that. You can't have anything getting in the way of the state, which is your God, of you, supplanting that with like silly things like taking care of your wife and your family and your kids and making that a priority. Can't have that. We need to be the priority in your life. So sorry, I went off on a rant.
No, that's okay.
That's another thing.
Yep, that's okay.
I think it's another inherent part of their message.
But what I found is interesting is that if she really feels strong about that, and God bless her if she does. I mean, that's the whole idea. If you really feel
she
strong,
does.
If you really feel strong, she thinks that's the answer. I mean, if she's worried about the carbon footprint and essentially babies being born that could be oxygen thieves, she could step up and make sure she's not one. I'm just saying. It's just an idea. I mean, call me crazy.
Hey, I did.
No, I mean, if she thinks a living baby is an impact on this earth, she's kind of a
pestilence on the earth.
Yep. Maybe she could just step up and lead by example and remove herself and from that capacity. Maybe save some of that oxygen.
She can do that.
I'm just saying. I'm not endorsing anything. I'm just saying she could lead by example and just punch out, and then there she showed the rest, and those that feel just like her could follow her example. There we go.
I mean, yeah, but there's rules for them. There's rules for us. So they're not under the auspices of all the stuff they espouse. They're above that. You and me, though, and everyone else, we have to suffer under their policies while they live over here, live this way and that way, while telling us to live this other way. So again, that's another part of it, man.
It's also a reason.
There we go.
When we see why when the whole when the not that abortion was made illegal. Let's make sure we clear. When the Supreme Court said that it was a bad law in the first place, and it was on the state governments. It's not on the federal government to mandate, because the 10th Amendment says it doesn't say it in the Constitution. That's a whole other lesson we can go through.
Right.
But when that happened, and all these companies started stepping up, trying to be woke, and said, "Hey, we'll pay for your abortions. We'll cover you to fly to a state that doesn't. If you have to go to a different state, get it." Of course they will, because $4,000 for an abortion is a hell of a lot cheaper than the medical insurance for raising someone up to the age of now 26 years old. And all the medical and everything else. So, of course, it's a financial decision. They'd much rather drop $4,000 and be done with it, and you not have that child that they have to cover with insurance and braces and eyeglasses and this and that. Just easier to write a check and be done with it. But, yes. And again, don't forget Stacey Abrams. I see your comments, Mandy. Stacey Abrams is also the one that said, that whole heartbeat thing that doctors was just some kind of made up technical thing when you hear heartbeat.
It's made up.
Yeah. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's
that's right.
My wife, who is a lady of not usually. She had some very cross words. In fact, she came. Did you hear this crazy? It was a long conversation, but she was like, "What she just said?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I think she's getting too much air to her brain through that gap in her teeth." But anyways, I can say that because it's my show. But anyways,
it's your show. It's your show.
So we're gonna go. On,
by the way, the Pentagon will pay for service members' travel for abortions. By the way, that just came out 6 hours ago. There you go.
Oh, okay.
That's your tax dollars at work.
Yep.
I don't know what happened to the Hyde Amendment. Wasn't there an amendment by Representative Hyde?
There is, but
taxpayer money's not supposed to go to abortions, but it just did.
Well,
that's just one example that it just did.
The Congress did 2 adjustments to the Hyde Amendment. Actually, the original one, you're right. But they made adjustments since then, so that's a whole different. But yes, it's
clearly they have.
Well, they've also, we also just in 2020, September 2020, the federal government or CDC or whatever just redefined what the term vaccine meant too, right? So we went from something.
That's exactly right.
So from keeping you from getting anything to should prevent or symptoms, right? So, anyways.
Right.
I've got one here.
Right.
Another negative. It's a negative. I went negative, positive. I'm back to negative. Is
go to negative.
Is just. I mean, this can go wide open, but I'm going to use a recent case, an example. Is the violence in this country, the crime violence in this country? Obviously, a lot of candidates are running across the board and for governorships, Congress, local elections, whatever. On the crime that is just running rampant. We've always had crime, obviously, but
yes,
it started in 2020. And not because of COVID, because of the riots that were allowed, if not condoned and endorsed, in response of George Floyd overdosing on fentanyl and acting like an idiot. But and it's just gotten worse since then. And now we see it. We see the punching of people, pushing them on the subway platforms. stabbing people, hitting them in the head with bats, coming at people with axes, everything else. Now, we have this lady. If you saw the video, Doug, of this lady on a bus in D.C. And there were so much teenagers on her, and boy, she's got a big pair, because you see a group of teenagers that are probably not acting on their best behavior. They probably are not going to VBS. And they were cursing and stuff on a bus in front of a small child, and she asked them not to curse in front of the small child, and they just commenced to beat the crap out of her. I think it was upwards of 4 or 5 or 6, and it was beating her on this bus. She was begging for the bus driver to stop. He never stopped. He never hit the emergency notification button that apparently buses have to call the police. He never called the police. He nor anyone else in the bus did anything, and just let this lady, middle-aged black woman, by the way, so doesn't fit the narrative, but middle-aged black woman getting beat by these teenagers. I think several girls. I think most of them were also black, but I didn't see the whole video, but it doesn't matter. Just beat the crap out of this lady. The biggest thing is that no other person on that bus stood up to try to do something, stop them, and most importantly, the bus driver, I'm assuming it was a municipal city bus, did nothing to even call the cops. And that kind of stuff, along with people dressed in green on the subways in New York City, beating and attacking people.
Those green, that gang, right, or whatever. Right. I know what you're talking about. You've got all the people beating older people of different colors and races. Again, they've been attacking Asians for a long time. It's just getting to a point that I saw something yesterday or today that's in these polls about violence. When the results come back that people saying the number one concern coming into these elections is the crime and the violence, it is not based on party lines. It is across the board. Republicans, independents, Democrats are all recognizing this. And I think this is also why the earlier one of the media is starting to admit it. You just can't hide it. I mean, it's rampant and nothing is happening. And part of that was, obviously New York has New York City, the biggest city in the world. Obviously, it has been underneath this bail reform in this state, where people just get let out and repeat crimes. Now you have Chicago, or Illinois, the home of Chicago, going into effect on January 1st, doing the same thing, even taking it up a notch by allowing second-degree murder to be allowed to be released and not even in jail, that you just get a summons if you commit second-degree murder. So that's to me, that's probably the biggest negative. I agree with all those people polled that the violence and the crime in this country is probably the number one thing right now, more so than how Ukraine is doing, and right. More so, sadly, probably more so than the fentanyl crisis, which is also a major crisis in itself. It's also another tragedy, right?
But yeah, to me, that's a big negative. Is just this, and all this comes down to defunding the police, this whole anti-police movement, the whole you can riot and do what you want, and not holding people accountable. Laws and rules are what keep us from living in anarchy. If you want to know what it's like to know laws and rules, let's look at what Hollywood showed you in all the Mad Max movies. That's what it's like.
Yep. And by the way, I just saw this article, 64% of voters blame, quote, woke politicians for crime wave across the U.S. Well, so
if that 64% shows up on November 8th, then
if they do,
it may be worse than what people are saying for the Democrats.
And they're just saying those are American voters. They're not saying those are like right-wing nut jobs or anything. No, they're just American voters. So, and that's a Harvard-Harris poll.
Hmm.
So no right-wing nut job polling place that be. So interesting.
Yeah. So what you got?
That was my other one. I was gonna throw that out, but you hijacked that one.
Oh, the crime one.
The crime one. Because I was gonna say, yeah, that was. I guess that's good. Bad news generating a good headline, but yeah, I mean, so if they're saying it's 64%, it's probably higher than that, since if it's a Harvard generated poll. So I'm sorry, I'm jaded. I'm jaded. But I'm trying to think of it. What else is going? By the way, just real quick, you mentioned Ukraine there. what's going on in Ukraine? I just heard the latest on that. Again, I don't know if this is probably bad news. Um, that the Russians are going after the power grid, and I'm like, they didn't go after the power grid like in the first wave. What genius?
Well, they went after the cell towers.
You know,
they went after the cell towers, and which a lot of the Russian military also communicated, like we did in Afghanistan. We had cell phones. They communicated between units, like commander to commander, where they didn't have direct comms. I guess maybe they don't have satellite, via cell phone. When they cut out all the cell towers, they cut off their own communications. And as we know,
that's a good news part, right?
Yes, that's the good news part.
Bad news taken out. The good news is, an after effect was they're screwing themselves. Go ahead.
As we know from our times training in the areas of like NTC, JRTC, and against the notional Russian onslaught, we study the Russian doctrine. That they don't have the concept of commander's intent and everyone knowing the mission and all that stuff. So if the leaders were the only ones that know the mission, they only know they give all the orders. That's just the way the Russians are. So when you take them out and they can't communicate, they're kind of what we would call up shit creek. So that's probably why they didn't take out the infrastructure. Remember, they thought they were going to roll Ukraine over in a couple of weeks. So obviously they probably didn't want to destroy
and
too
you're
much
probably
of it,
right.
They want to destroy
You're probably right.
But Ukraine,
they probably go, hey, we're going to own this place. Yeah, we're going to own this place. We don't want to screw it up, right? Because I'm gonna live here, and I'm gonna be a slumlord of this. Right. You know, they probably had big plans of what they were gonna do, right? Exactly.
So when you think back to World War II, we weren't thinking we were going to be living in Japan, so we said let's just take out big parts of it, right? It didn't bother us, right? So, but when you look, when you fast forward a little bit, and Ukraine, goes forward and takes that bridge out, right? The only bridge it cost them like millions and millions of dollars in Russia to build, to go into Crimea, and they take out not only the train side of it but also the road side of it. That was a serious clapback on Russia. So it was that. After that, they started just launching missiles left and right into every neighborhood. There's no hiding it anymore. They're not trying to act like they're there for the people of Ukraine. They're literally just trying to. They're trying to steamroll over everything. So they're taking out the power grid because it's going into the winter, right? So.
Right. I was going to ask about what your thoughts were on it's winter is coming, so I didn't know, are they going to hunker down and just try to attrit each other for the next 6 months or whatever, or is somebody going to try to do some sort of winter offensive if anybody on any side can muster enough, the necessary 3-to-1 odds to, up your success rate when going on the offensive. So I don't know. It's very interesting. But I don't know how much it's actually getting down, Troy, but apparently we sent a lot of money and hardware over there. Again, I don't know how much it's actually trickling down to.
Well, we have sent a lot. The HIMARS systems, like the Javelins, have been game changers. And just like the Stingers were in Afghanistan. So the HIMARS systems have been taken out. Look, in my opinion, I'll say uneducated opinion, not an expert on the Russian-Ukraine war, but what I've studied of this whole thing and them, time is on the Ukrainian side, right?
Absolutely.
Russia
100%.
is being attrited. I mean, we just saw him call it 330,000, where he had every male, able-bodied male was trying to leave the country and go into any other country.
Exactly.
Right. So Ukraine has held out. They thought it was going to last 11 days, and that was back, in February or March. So if the war keeps dragging on, it'll lead to nothing but Ukraine probably eventually winning. And then the world and probably the U.S. and everyone else will dump billions into there to rebuild it and all that kind of stuff. And
another Marshall Plan,
just like we did in other countries. And people there, just like in Afghanistan and Iraq, will take advantage and steal a lot of the money and make them line their pockets and blah, blah, blah. But if it goes on, there's two things going to happen. If it drags out, right, because Russia already did this fake annexation of these 4 territories. And in fact, the day after one of them was annexed, it was already taken back over by Ukraine, right? So, and then today they imposed martial law, which means, again, nothing there. But if it drags out, Ukraine wins. The only way it ends before then, in my opinion, totally unsolicited, I know nothing, I have no inside track, is if Russia just quits. And then they do kind of stalemate over those 3, but Ukraine will still come back because Russia just has been depleted. Russia has been removed as and I think this is partly behind China's take on this and why they were supporting it. Russia is not a player in the world market and in the world stage anymore, short of just having nukes, right?
Right.
So it's either Russia quits, or Putin hits the ultimate red button if he's able to do that to try to end this to save face because he's a crazy dude, right? One of the two,
right?
Because if they think they're going to drag it out, they're getting their shit pushed in. They just ain't going to make it.
Yeah, and I related. I saw that they confirmed that there's, at least by drones, that there's Iranian troops in Ukraine right now. So I'm sure they've got their own. To your point, they probably got their own foreign legion, that mercenaries or whatever, kind of like the the British with the Hessians over here, and that little thing we called the War for Independence back in the 1770s. So maybe they got that going on too. We already know they had like Chechens and stuff, so they probably wouldn't be surprised if there's like Chinese dudes there pretty soon. The way things are going, But but I don't know if China wants to commit that overtly. I'd be surprised. They kind of want to go, yeah, Russia, yeah, you kind of suck, so we're kind of gonna divest ourselves from you because you're not really all that. So I don't know. It's just a hot mess. The whole thing is just a hot mess.
It is a hot mess. It's like a divorced 43-year-old with 2 kids working a strip club. Just a big hot mess. All right. You like that image? I'll leave that for you. I just pulled that one on the fly. You got to give me some credit. I just pulled that one right there like that.
You know what went into my head with that? The Platinum Club, Columbus, Georgia, circa 1991. Sorry, it just popped right in there. Just popped in my head. That's where I went.
I was thinking maybe Crazy Horse 2, Muldoon area.
Or the traffic light. Remember the traffic light?
No, the Crazy Horse 2 in Muldoon district of Anchorage, Alaska, right on the outskirts. Not the Crazy Horse. Not the Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse where the daughter worked. Crazy Horse 2 is where Grandma worked. I'll just keep it at that. Yeah, I went there.
I think we just lost all the females in the audience. They're gone.
So is it my turn again? Is it my turn?
I think it's your turn.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got a positive. Oh. Musk buying Twitter. I guess that's moving forward. He's making it happen. A lot of people don't like Musk. I like Musk. I think it's awesome. He's like the whatchamacallit, the dude that Robert Downey Jr. played, right? The whole rich super billionaire superhero kind of dude.
Iron Man or Too Low for Zero? You gotta clarify
Iron Man.
Robert Downey.
Iron Man. Post druggy.
I went to Too Low for Zero.
Yeah. So I mean, he's saying right now they're drafting up plans that he's going to gut. He's going to let go of 75% of the staff.
75%. Man, that's probably positive. I feel those people are going to have to find something else to do. But
gut the entire workforce. 75% of 7,500 workers. So I don't know what that is. So leaving a staff of about 2,000. I don't know what they need to rent. You got the servers. They're up in the cloud. They're probably running on AWS or Azure.
Exactly. What do you need? You can do that.
Selling
you could be the freaking CTO.
I should contact him. I bet he responds to people on Twitter. He responds to people on Twitter. I mean, you're selling ads, maybe some software updates and adding new features. Maybe add 160 characters now, whatever. You don't need 7,500 people for a social media platform that is not really even driven by ads. It's driven by companies, doing stuff, but it's not like Facebook now or anything where they plug ads all in your stuff. So, or YouTube. So yeah, he could probably get by with 2,000 and they'd be 2,000 very well paid people, I think. Yeah. So that's
right.
to me, it's a positive, right?
That's a good point.
Because,
because
why is it a positive?
Maybe,
because people are just going to lose their mind over it. And I think it's hilarious. So
exactly. Yeah. And maybe the 75% is commensurate with 75% of it's total BS anyway, like the number of users or whatever. It's probably all fake too. So it's all inflated with bots and all that stuff. So, maybe that 75% actually means something. Maybe he's like, okay, 75% of it's bullshit. Okay, well, 75% of the workforce doesn't need to be here anymore.
So how quick it's changing. You got Musk buying that. You got Kanye wanting to buy Parler. You got Trump owning Truth Social.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just... the world's just flipping on its head, dude. It's something else.
That's all positive, right?
Yeah,
Even just for the sake of having greater choice, in the social media sphere ecosystem, that to me that has to be positive. So I think that's a positive that you just mentioned.
There we go. Yeah,
so
it was a definitely
that's
positive.
Good stuff.
Back to you, my friend.
Oh man, what is it? Is it time for something negative?
I don't know. I've been bouncing back and forth.
Uh, I know. I'm all ADD. I can't remember if are we doing
Talk
positive
about, you
or
can talk about whatever. I talked about I've talked about positives and negatives, two of each. So
I guess I'll give you a more localized positive. I think it's well. Again, I'm all so it's negative, but it's positive. So as you know, I won't go into any details and bore anyone, but real quickly, as you know, we've had some issues with this new home. So, but the good news is those are all just first world problems, just all first world problems. The core family unit here is great. We're all doing great, knock on wood, blessed by God, way, way, way more than we deserve. So the good news is we try to keep that in mind, despite all the BS that we have to deal with on the side. So anyway, there you go. I just gave you a positive and a negative. Again, like hyper localized. We went from like global type issues all the way down to right here, ground zero, Doug, here in Central Texas. Hey, we got a lot of rain the other night, and the house is still here. So hey, that that's a positive for Team Mullen.
well,
There's still four walls, so
it.
we're very grateful.
There you go. Yeah, we got to
very grateful.
We got to. I got to get some. We got to catch up. We got to talk offline. I got to get the latest on the house because I'm read in. I'm read in on what's going on.
It's the end of the beginning, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's not the beginning of the end. It's probably the end. It might be the end of the beginning. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, the long story is, that's what I want to talk to you about. That there's that guy who does those, like the latest one I saw. He does a graph. It's like the last one he did was like fuck around and find out.
Yep.
And he draws a line, like how much does it take? You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, that's kind of like what I feel like that we're dealing with here with, how many first world problems, maybe first world would be down here and this would be third world problems. What's the graph for like, how many first world problems does it take to equate to like one, like, third world problem, so I don't know. Just thinking out loud. We'll work this out later, Troy, when you're here. We'll get this all worked out.
We'll definitely
things to think about.
Yep, that's for true. Yeah. So another negative I have is what's going on in our schools, and it's so much worse. Now we've got nude twerking going on and this and that and all these drag queen strip shows in front of little kids and this and that. It's just, that's another topic that's coming up hot in these polls from people besides the crime. Is I think the number 3 topic is what's happening in our schools. And if you could if you could say that there was a positive that came out of COVID, it was the homeschooling and the fact that the parents had their eyes open because they had no choice. They could not ignore it, right? So,
right.
Obviously the homeschooling was bad with keeping kids locked down and not letting them get the crucial social interaction they should have in school that they develop in the middle to high school years. And keeping them at home for so long was not a good thing. And obviously the education quality slipped tremendously. But the fact that parents now also being locked in at home, working from home, we're listening to stuff that the teachers were saying. We're hearing seeing what their kids were actually doing, not just, watching them get on the bus in the morning, if they even did that. And then the kid come home a day and they sit around the dinner table and they go, how was school? Nothing. What'd you do? Nothing. Right. That's always the conversations were, right? At least with boys. That they now saw and their eyes were open and exposed to what was being taught, said, referenced in school. That's, to me, that's the biggest positive that came out of that, because now parents are engaged. Now it's not just the PTA moms, it's all of them, because they were like, holy crap. And these are people from left or right. There were people that are that had voted Democrat, this and that, whatever, right. That, Loudoun County, Fairfax County, Virginia, where all that stuff was happening, that were like, I had no idea. And so I think, the education being number 3 on voters' minds. I don't know in all the years that I've been following politics that's ever been a top topic. I can't imagine it's been a topic at all.
Right. You're election. Absolutely right.
Not an election at the national level, maybe an election at the school board level or somewhere at that level within the district, right?
But not national.
No,
not at the national
not
level.
President, not Congress, not representatives, senators. No. So to me, That's a
but that's
positive.
good.
Yeah, that's a
That's
positive.
a positive. It's
That's
been exposed.
it's not a
Been
positive.
exposed.
Yeah, it's not a positive of the stuff that's happening and being taught. It's a positive that people are now
Right.
paying attention. So that was my positive.
So no, 100% agree. So I don't know. You can positive or negative this. October poll has Abbott 4 points ahead of Beto O'Rourke down here in Texas. So I'll just leave it at that.
How is it not 14?
Let you guys come.
How is it not 24 or 14?
I'm just gonna go ahead and let you guys comment on that. So that's a great.
Whose poll is that?
Question.
Whose poll is that?
See, that was standby.
I mean, because polls kind of. So let me tell you why you're doing that. Why you're doing that, Doug? Let me tell you how poll.
Marist College poll.
Oh yeah, I don't believe that shit.
So it's probably not independent at all.
No.
But anyway, go ahead.
So let me tell you, people don't know how polls work. Being in the state of New York right now, the phone rings off the hook. I don't answer the phone. I don't answer regular time. I surely don't.
I never do either.
Answer during election season. But my wife, being the wonderful woman she is, will answer and go through the poll with them. And sometimes they claim they're college, like you just mentioned. Sometimes they're claim whatever.
Yes.
And what we have found, and this is unscientific, this is only our local study, Doug, but what we have found, as she has kind of collected the actions and results, is that she'll go through, she'll play kind of independent. She won't say any, one way or the other. She'll just answer the questions. She obviously detects is very heavily slighted left, right? They'll be like, how do you think the president's, do you think he's doing great? It's like, would you rate the president on his handling of the economy from great to pretty good? Like nothing worse than that, right? That kind of stuff. Or, it's like, or they'd be like, did you know that these representatives were rumored to be supportive of January 6th? And she's like, rumored? Like, why? Because of Republicans? She goes, well, there's just a rumor. I'm not saying, like, they try to give themselves an out so they can't be accused of slander, right? So she picks this up because she's a sharp woman.
Right.
And,
right.
And so when she does the different polls, sometimes she'll tell them right off that I'm conservative, I'm this, whatever she says. Sometimes she tells them she's a liberal Democrat. She notices those polls go a lot longer. She'll notice when she says she's conservative or not undecided to pretty good conservative, it's like 3 questions. Okay, we're done. But the best is when they go through the number of questions and they ask her near the end, or they pick up something on her answer, and they'll come out and say, do you identify as a conservative or Republican or Democrat or whatever? If she says Republican, the line goes dead. They drop the call. That poll.
Wow.
That poll did not count. They call the next
exactly.
person. This is why
That's
polls.
Exactly right.
This is why polls, whether phone or in person, right? If the pollster is not completely unbiased and has an agenda, they play those little games because the call drops. Well, that one didn't count. I didn't get all the way done. They just go on to the next one.
I didn't get the result. Yeah, I didn't get.
This is what happened in 2016. This is what happened in 2020. This is what happened right now. This is why the pollsters, the last 2 major elections, have been so off, starting with 2016. Everyone's like, how could this have happened? Everyone thought for sure Hillary was going to win. It's because they play these games. So when you that's why I have been saying, I think I said it 2 weeks ago when we were on the show, that it's going to be, I'm really calling this election to be way more, it's going to be a huge red wave because the pollsters just aren't even trying to approach it fairly because they don't want to know the real news. And you would think after 2 other elections, they would have realized maybe we should try to capture this a little bit more realistic.
They can't help themselves.
Yeah, they can't.
Dude, they can't help themselves. They want, here, to your point, the same poll. I got a little bit more info. The same Marist poll from a week ago here in Texas, where Abbott has an 8-point advantage among likely voters. The 4-point advantage is for registered voters. So there's a nuance there. Just because you're registered doesn't mean you're going to vote. Likely voters are in a different. That's a different box. Yeah, I'm definitely going to vote or whatever. However they answer that question. So that's very interesting. So they are right there. In addition to everything you just said, there's kind of a built-in bias. But I read the same poll, Troy, in another news source, and all they said was 4 points. Beto's within striking distance. Everything's great. Don't worry about it. So they took that poll that probably picked and chose the data it wanted, and then this news source picked the poll and it only emphasized what it wanted to. So there you go. There's some bias going on all kinds of levels. So interesting.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's. I think it'll be more than 4 because Beto couldn't win. He couldn't win. He couldn't win himself a suntan in hell. I mean, that dude just can't win shit.
4 likely voters. There's 4 likely voters in this family, and I'm about 95% sure who they're going to vote for.
I think I am too. I would put a paycheck on it, but yeah.
Come November 8th.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. What else do you got? Was that a positive? Is that your positive?
It was kind of positive and negative because you kind of called it like, why is it so close, Doug? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why is it even so close? I don't know. That's the negative side. The positive side was when you dig deeper, it's a little bit, the advantage is a little bit more pronounced. So you remember, you have to win above the level of corruption, no matter where you are. So keep that in mind. So that's the goal.
Yep.
That's the goal.
That's for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel bad. I mean, my negatives have all been pretty bad, right? And they're all kind of, obviously everything is kind of political. And it's like, when you talk about the violence and you talk about, what's happening in the immigration problem, the economy, and the gas price is all just, I guess if I were to pick one more negative, I didn't have it written down. It was just the politicizing of our natural resources and reserves, right? It's one thing you want to politicize fracking, anti-fracking, blah blah blah, and make that a political topic, but this continual release of our strategic oil reserve, after just it gets me, right? When Trump got elected, they were like, oh, he's a buffoon, he has no foreign policy experience, he's going to piss off everyone all over the world, everyone's going to laugh at America. And then he goes over there, and his first thing within weeks of being elected is goes over and meets with the G7 and just like whips them into shape, gets people to start paying in the NATO, broke history by crossing into North Korea, getting rocket Magna after they accused him of doing World War, and really was turned America and himself into a true leader on the global stage. And then we get the 50-year politician who's been wrong in every foreign policy decision he ever made, from wanting to split Iraq into 3 separate countries to not supporting the take out Osama bin Laden, to many, many others. Goes over to Saudi Arabia, kisses their ass, bends over, gets nothing, wastes a lot of money for no reason, comes back. They team up with Russia, cut 2 million barrels a day, and this dude's just released 15 more million barrels of oil from the strategic oil reserve. Oh, by the way, I think this country consumes, I want to say we consume 2 million barrels a day. God, if Rob was here, he would correct me. I want to say it's 2 million barrels a day,
at least. Yeah,
is what this country consumes.
I'm sure.
And he is, and we released this right before the midterms, after it comes out that the Saudis told us, weren't solicited, they have no skin in the game, it said, oh, when he came over, he asked us just to not cut the oil till after the midterms, which obviously makes that 100% a political trip. Now he's released, we're at the lowest levels. Again, I don't have the
facts. 84.
Yeah, 80. I knew it was 80.
Since 1984.
God, you're like Rob. Yeah. Since 84, lowest levels in the strategic oil reserve. It's doing nothing for us. And people, if you don't know what the strategic oil reserve is for, you could Google it. But essentially, it's for, like, if the world went to hell, and somehow we were cut off and getting oil or whatever, world war or whatever, we at least had our own
strategic reserve.
Yeah, we're funding our machine.
It's in the name.
It wasn't ever meant.
And you know why it was so low? You know why it was so low in 84? Because that's the year I started driving. So there, you can blame it on me back in 84.
There we go.
So back when gas was like 75 cents a gallon.
Burning it up in that Pinto.
My mom's 78 Riviera with the 6.6 Olds engine they put in the Trans Ams of that era.
That thing was fast. That absolutely
didn't get into any trouble.
Yeah.
It's like a 5,000 pound. Anyway.
Yeah. But
never took it over 100.
Yeah. I mean, you could release it if it really would make an impact and something, but it's meant for not to lower prices or just the market. It's meant for keeping us running on the critical oil and lubricants and everything from oil that we need. So
that's right.
So here we go. We got
lubricated. Troy, you got to keep it lubricated.
That's right. I'll let you do the movements.
So no, here, but wait, didn't they shoot Trump down like his last year as president, or sometime he wanted to fill it back up, the reserve at $24 a gallon,
a barrel,
and then didn't our current didn't a barrel didn't our
the Congress
didn't
shot it
Biden just
down.
say he's going to start buying it up when it hits $70 a barrel?
Right now it's at 100, and
That's what he said.
And Congress did not want to fund Trump buying it back at 24 a barrel. Right now it's at $100 a barrel, and they want to refill it. Right, so
they didn't want to fund it.
Yeah. So if anything, our the elections have consequences. Number one, let me just say that as we go to wrap up here, and you
I think I might have lost you, Troy. You're frozen.
Can you hear me? I think.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay,
you're back now.
Elections have consequences.
Getting jammed.
Yeah, elections have
consequences. Right. Exactly right.
The things exactly that right. At all levels, both local and national, because you remember the last election, governors and local houses of assembly.
Man, we've been going. Wow.
And all that stuff. We're making decisions about the national election because by the Constitution, elections
we're getting jammed.
I'm fine. You're locked up. You're frozen up, dude. I don't know. But the Meiji jammer's on you. But
we're getting jammed. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been talking away. I think I'm okay. I think you got some bad internet.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think your home builder put in a jammer. But
this is turning blue.
So these elections do have consequences down to the local level. Number one. Number two, you need to have. Thank you, Mandy. You need to have your eyes opened and not just follow along with any news. I don't give a shit if it's OAN, MSNBC, Fox, CNN, whatever. You need to study and understand who you're voting for, and not just voting because they pander to you by maybe going to pay some of your college money, or maybe they're going to not charge you for a crime that really no one's charged with, like federal level marijuana laws or anything like that. But look what the person stands for, because you're voting today, you're voting in 19 days, you're voting in 2 years. It will have little effect on you, but will have all kinds of effect because you're laying the groundwork. You're going to put people in office that are going to set precedents for your children and your children's children. And if you're so young that you can't even think about that, if you're like, I'm just now having my first kids or whatever, trust me, you will be there before you know it, of the kind of country. So when we talk about leaving a better world, a better country for our kids, it's not environmentally, it's not just that kind of stuff. It's not about wealth. It's about everything that goes into effect. That's how critical the vote. That's why people in Iraq would walk through IEDs to go cast a vote. That's why it's one of the most sacred privileges in this globe for people to be able to have the willingness to do. Sadly, people in this country don't do it, or they do it so ill-informed because they listen to retards and they don't make up their own mind that these kind of things happen. I can tell you, Doug, as you know, my youngest is in college. He's in a New York State college, which is, as all colleges are, super liberal. And he has told me a number of times how, pretty much he's probably one of the few conservatives in his big friends groups. How a lot of them are all from, Long Island, New York City, and that kind of stuff. All voted for Biden, are all telling him now, okay, and they're willing to admit it. We made a mistake. Oh, this was not the right pick. Blah, blah, blah. So when I hear from just a sampling, not scientific, from one university in upstate in New York, where a number of people who all admittedly said they were like, their families were Democrats, they were Democrats, are all saying, we screwed up. This was a mistake. I take that and I magnify that to say how many other people are saying that across this country. So
and we're just not hearing it.
So if the things happen that I think are going to happen, if the representatives are going to be put in place that I think will happen as of this election in 19 days, it behooves those that get put in office at the national or state level or whatever other level, local or whatever, they better frickin' open their ears. They better enjoy their one night of confetti and everything else and hugs and kisses, but they better get to work the next day and remember why they were put in office. It was for crime. It was for inflation.
It better get it hot.
It was for immigration. It was for all these things. They better make it while they can, because if there's one thing that's been shown, I think will come out of this election, as others, is no one's going to be guaranteed a ride anymore, and people will start holding people accountable. So Maybe I'm doing Pollyanna. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I think that's what's going to happen. And people, look, guess what? People don't give a shit about January 6th. People don't give a damn about what happened in some riot in Missouri or something like that. What they care about is being able to put food on the table, affording gas to get to work,
being safe,
and being able to walk down the street without being assaulted for no reason. Right? That's what they care about. So hopefully our elected representatives pay attention to that.
Amen. Amen to all that.
That was a rant. As the last thing I'm going to rant on, what do you got, Doug, before we close up?
No, I'm just gonna say amen to that, and just remember, an American's mind works best when it is almost too late. So keep that in mind. Again, I have to hit that again because it's important for the times we live in. So
that's scary, though. That's scary that it has to take that. But
that it's almost too late. But it's like, why are we here? It's like, well, because we're here. So here we are. So we'll make the most of it. We'll make the best of it. And here we go.
All right.
So that's how I look at it. Yes. No one wants to be here, but here we are.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Mandy, thank you. Yes, it was a rant. Very much, my darling. And thank you all for tuning in to Stu in the next week. It is someone's very special birthday in my house, and not mine. So if we have a show next week, I will pre-record it. I will not be doing it live, or we won't have one next week. I don't know, but I'm gonna see if I can pre-record it on Tuesday or Wednesday night. But I definitely will not be here on Thursday night. That I can guarantee you. Or else, life will be a lot different in my house. So, yeah. So anyways, want to wish everyone the best. Doug, thank you so much for joining me tonight here on Stu and the Nunn.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me as always.
Yes. Thank you to all of our sponsors and everyone that joins us, and watches and listens either live or after the fact. I can see my graphics are messed up on my goodbye page, but that's okay. It is what it is now. We will see you guys, hope maybe next week here at 8 o'clock Eastern on Stu and the Nunn. Maybe not. If not, I think you'll understand why. So with that, want to wish everyone a good night. Doug, have a good one. Hang on for a second. Let's chat for a second after. And all right. And God bless America. Thank you all so much.
God bless everyone. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.